Welcome to the lecture series on antennas and wave propagation. Today, this is the lecture number series. In this lecture, we are discussing about what are some circuit parameters like input impedance, bandwidth, antenna apertures, and freeze transmission formula. So, antenna parameters are divided into two types. One is the circuit parameters, and second one is the pattern parameters. So, previous two classes we discussed about pattern parameters like radiation pattern, radiation intensity, beam width, beam area, directivity, gain. All these parameters, these are relevant to the pattern. So, in the previous class we discussed all about this. In this class we are discussing about these circuit parameters like input impedance, bandwidth, antenna apertures, and finally we will continue with freeze transmission formula. So, after these are the learning outcomes, once the course will be, that means the lecture will be completed, student will know what is antenna impedance and importance of antenna impedance, and also students will learn what is the importance of bandwidth and what is the freeze transmission formula for radar transmission and receiving purpose. So, first, what is an antenna impedance? Antenna input impedance. So, it is defined as the ratio of the impedance is represented by an antenna as its terminals are, or it is also defined as ratio of the input voltage applied to the current at pair of terminals, or it is also defined as the ratio of appropriate components which are there in the antenna, that is electric field as well as the magnetic field at that point. So, from Ohm's law we know that V is equals to IR. V is equals to IR. So, if some voltage is applied, then there will be some current distributed in the circuit. Due to this current, there will be some power is radiated from your transmission line to the free space. Actually, from general antenna impedance is equals to Zi is equals to V by I, that is applied voltage by the input or input current. But due to some ohmic losses, that means dielectric losses or conductive losses, the input impedance is changed. Input impedance is somewhat dissipated. Input power is somewhat dissipated. So, that's why the input impedance is always complex quantity. So, that is ZA is equals to RA plus JXA, where the ZA is the input impedance of the antenna at point A and B, and RA is the radiation resistance of the antenna at point A and B, and ZA or XA is the reactance of the antenna at point A and B. So, what is this reactance? Why the reactance? So, because of some power is dissipated in the input side, so there will be some loss in the input side. So, due to this loss, nearer to the antenna, some fields are missing. So, that's why there will be some reactive fields are occurring. So, for any antenna, that means if you are taking example as a half wave dipole antenna, so input impedance is equals to 73 ohms. Input impedance is equals to 73 ohms for a half wave dipole antenna. Suppose here you see, so we are applying a RF voltage to generator. So, from that generator, voltage is induced in the transmission line, and due to this induced voltage, there will be a current distribution presented in that transmission line. So, after this current is distributed throughout the wire, the power is dissipated in the free space. So when you see these components, so here VG is the voltage across the RF voltage applied across the generator, and RG and XG. These are the two components at the input side, that is the resistor at the generator and the reactance at the generator. And at the receiver side, that means at that antenna side, there are two resistance are there. One is the radiation resistance and second one is the loss resistance. So ZA is equals to RA plus JXA, that is the resistance at the antenna side. So that resistance is equals to RA plus that R radiated plus R loss plus J into XA. So this is the reactive term. So we know that total radiation resistance of any antenna is equals to radiation resistance plus loss resistance. These losses because of the ohmic losses or conductive losses or dielectric losses. So if we applied the current through transmission line, so the total power, the total radiated power W is equals to I square into RR plus RL, that is the radiation resistance plus loss resistance. So this radiation resistance, if you are taking the isotropic antenna, that antenna will radiate throughout the 360 degrees uniformly. That's why R loss is equal to 0 for a isotropic antenna. But for all the practical antennas, there will be some losses because of this conductive or dielectric material losses. That's why there should be some RL is there. So that's why the radiated power WT is equals to I square into RR plus RL. So here RR is radiation resistance and RL is equals to loss resistance. For lossless transmission plus lossless antenna, so this value is equals to 0. So next parameter is antenna bandwidth. So for antenna, if you want to know the total performance of your antenna, so there will be some parameters. All the parameters like antenna gain, antenna bandwidth, antenna directivity, beam width, radiation pattern, radiation resistance, all should be operated in a specific characteristics. But all these characteristics are dependent on your frequency of operation. So as frequency is changing, these characteristics also changing. So that's why we can't define the antenna bandwidth straight away. But in general, we can define our bandwidth. So it is the band of frequencies. Where the above said all the parameter should possess a characteristics in a stable way. So bandwidth is equals to, it is the band of frequencies. That means if you say delta F is equals to F2 minus F1. So F2 is the highest frequency and F1 is the lowest frequency. So this bandwidth we can define in another way also. So bandwidth, if your bandwidth is operated over which the gain of your antenna is greater than the value specified, or bandwidth over which your voltage standing ratio should be very low to the acceptable ratio. That means your reflection coefficient must be less. If your reflection coefficient must be less means, so due to if your reflection coefficient is high, then the incident wave and reflected wave gets cancelled, the radiation will be very, very, very low. So that's why if you want to get the good bandwidth, that means voltage standing wave ratio should be less. And next, the VSWR of transmission line maintain a specific value. And also from the bandwidth we can observe that bandwidth is equals to delta F is equals to FR by Q. So antenna bandwidth is always inversely proportional to the quality factor, that is Q. So this quality factor can be defined as 2 pi into the total energy stored by your antenna to the energy dissipated or radiated per cycle. So bandwidth is equals to FR by Q. That means resonant frequency by Q or center frequency by Q. So your bandwidth is inversely proportional to the Q value. So that Q is defined as, quality factor is defined as 2 pi into total radiated power by radiated power to a particular cycle. So this bandwidth is depends on two parameters. One is the impedance and second one is the pattern characteristics. For low frequency signals, your pattern characteristics are frequency sensitive. That means a small frequency also these characteristics will change. So that's why in those frequency conditions, to know the bandwidth, impedance is a very crucial parameter. So next important parameter is polarization. The polarization is defined as nothing but it is a physical orientation of the antenna or radiation of your antenna in a particular direction. So polarization will show you the characteristic of your antenna, in which direction your antenna is radiating. So polarizations are classified as three types. One is linear polarization, one is circular, second one is circular polarization, and third one is elliptical polarization. In the linear polarization, the electric field vector is traced in a single line, with respect to time. If your radiation is or electric field in the direction of vertically, then it is called as a vertical polarization. If your electric field vector is in the direction of horizontally, then we can say that it is in the horizontal polarization. If it is traced like in a some angle in a line, then we can say that is called theta polarization. So linear polarization means the electric field vector is in one line direction only. It is in one direction in a line. So it is in a vertical line, we can say that vertical polarization. If it is in horizontal line, we can say that it is in the horizontal polarization. If it is in some angle, then we can say that it is called theta polarization. So the direction of your polarization or direction of antenna and polarization both are same. The direction of antenna and its polarization both are same. And if your polarization, if a direction of your antenna is traced in a, that means electric field vector traced in the shape of a circle, then we can say that circular polarization. And in this circular polarization, if your antenna direction, that means direction of your propagation is in clockwise direction, then we can say that is a right hand polarization. If the electric field vector direction is in the anti-clockwise direction, then we can say that is left hand polarization. So this circular polarization, by using axial ratio, we can define the circular polarization. What is acceleration? It is the ratio of major lobe axis to the minor lobe axis, to the minor lobe axis, which is called as the axial ratio. For circular polarization, axial ratio is equals to 1. Suppose if your field of vector is in the traces in the field of a like a elliptical structure, then we can say that is a elliptical polarization. So this is on one equation. E is equals to A naught E naught into cos omega t plus A phi E phi into cos omega t plus alpha. For first case, that is for the linear polarization, your alpha is 0. That means A naught, then it comes to A naught E naught into cos omega t plus A phi E phi into cos omega t. That is called linear polarization. For circular polarization, this alpha value is look plus or minus pi by 2, and it is looking like a circular, means the measure that the action, the electric field in the one plane and the electric field in the another plane both are same, then only we can say it is a circular polarization. If the third case, if alpha is plus or minus pi by 2, and for the elliptical polarization the direction of the electric field in the theta direction is not equals to the direction of the electric field in the pi direction, that is elliptical polarization. So next parameter is antenna apertures. Antenna aperture or effective area of your antenna. Antenna aperture or effective area. So this is important parameter in terms of the receiving antenna, not in the transmitting antenna. In the receiving antenna, this is one of the important parameter, and it measures how your antenna is affected by its the receiving once it receives the power, electromagnetic power from the transmitted side. How much area in your total structure is radiate or affected by your radiation, that area is called as effective area. So antenna aperture is also defined as it is in the defined as the area oriented perpendicular to the direction of electromagnetic wave, so which would intercept the same amount of power from the wave which is produced at the received wave. So next important definition in this antenna aperture is antenna aperture efficiency. So aperture efficiency is defined as the ratio of AP, that means physical aperture by effective aperture. It is defined as physical aperture by effective aperture. So in this diagram, so we are seeing, for example, we are using a receiving antenna, that means we are taken as horn antenna. Horn antenna, at the antenna side, the face of that antenna is very wider, like a aperture, like a horn structure. So there the radiations are, the direction of propagation is perpendicular to the electrical field. So that is called the face which is open face is called as antenna aperture. So in the second figure you saw, from this radiation only some part of your effective area, that means physical aperture is total structure, effective aperture is the area which is affected by your electromagnetic radiation. So physical aperture is total aperture and effective aperture is only the area which is affected by your radiation. So if antenna aperture efficiency is defined as the effective aperture by physical aperture. Effective means the area which is affected by radiation, and aperture physical area is the total area of your antenna. And the relation between aperture and beam area is equals to lambda square is equals to that aperture area, effective area into beam area, that is AE into rho A. And we can define our effecture, that means directivity, in terms of effecture is equals to D is equals to 4 pi into AE by lambda square. D is equals to 4 pi into AE by lambda square. For hypothetical antenna, that means for an isotropic antenna, your D value is 1. So your total directivity, that means effective aperture is equals to AE is equals to lambda square by 4 pi. Lambda square by 4 pi, that is equals to 0.0796 into lambda square. So most probably all the lossless antennas, they are maintain this value or greater than this value. So we know there are different types of apertures are there. So one is the scattering aperture, loss aperture, and collecting aperture, and physical aperture. So scattering aperture AS, loss aperture AL, collecting aperture AC, and physical aperture AB. So what is scattering aperture? What is scattering aperture? It is the ratio. It is defined as the ratio of power received by radiation resistance to the average power density. Power received, that is the ratio of power received by radiation resistance to the average power density at that point. So it is measured in meter square. So AS is equals to I square RMS into RR by power average. And here we can define another ratio, that is scattering ratio. Beta is equals to AS, that is scattering aperture by affected aperture AE. The value of beta is always 0 and infinity. So scattering aperture is defined as it is the ratio of power received by an antenna with the radiation distance to the average power density. Its value is in between 0 to 1. Loss aperture. So it is defined as the ratio of power dissipated by the loss resistance of an antenna to the average power density. So AL is equals to I square RMS into radiation loss RL by power average. Next one is collecting aperture. The summation of scattering aperture, loss aperture, and that means scattering aperture, effective aperture. The effective aperture, scattering aperture, and loss aperture is called as collecting aperture. So AC is equals to AE plus AS plus AL. So from AC is equals to, if you take the common I square RMS by P average, then it is multiplication of RL plus RR plus and R small l. The last parameter is physical aperture. So this is deals with the actual size of your antenna. Or actual physical cross section of your antenna, which is faced towards your electromagnetic signals. So for large cross sectional areas like horn antennas, waveguide antennas, this physical aperture is always greater than the effective aperture. For short dipole antennas, always this physical aperture is less than the effective aperture. For losses, when your losses are to be assumed to be 0, then your AP is equals to AE. Next parameter is effective height or effective length. The effective length or effective height of an antenna is the height of an antenna's center of radiation above the ground. Antenna's height, the antenna is effective length or effective height is the height of the antenna's center of radiation above the ground. So it is also defined as the ratio of induced voltage to the incident field. Suppose if you multiply your effective height with the induced voltage, induced field E, then we can get the small polarization of V which should be induced. So V is equals to HE into E, and HE is equal to effective height is equals to V by E. That will be in meters. So in the example, so there we are taken two antennas. One is our dipole antenna with length L is equals to lambda by 2, and see this. So there is a incident wave is traveling to the antenna. So the current distribution of this half wave dipole is a sinusoidal antenna. If you take the average value of your current distribution is, that is 2 by pi, that is 0.64 of your maximum value. So then the effective height or effective length of your antenna H is equals to 0.64 into L. So it is assumed that the antenna is oriented for maximum response. So it's go for the second example where L is equals to lambda by 10 or 0.1 lambda. If you take the average of this antenna, the current distribution of this antenna is triangular. The average of this antenna we are taken at 0.5. So your H is equals to 0.5 L, 0.5. That is the effective area of your antenna. So this is the formula for your effective height and effective aperture with relevant to radiation resistance and the characteristic impedance Z0. So H is equals to 2 into root over radiation resistance into effective aperture by Z0, that is intrinsic impedance, that is 377 ohms, or and He, that is effective aperture, is equals to H square into Z0 by 4 pi r. So this is the formula of your effective height or and effective aperture with relevant to radiation resistance and the intrinsic impedance. And last topic is Friis transmission formula. So this formula is based on your effective aperture and useful in obtaining the power received by an antenna. So in this figure, so there are one transmitter section is there, another receiver section is there, and we are having two antennas. One is the transmitting antenna and another antenna is receiving antenna, and the effective area of aperture of this antenna is AE, maximum effective aperture is AET in the transmitting side, and maximum effective aperture is in the receiving side is AER, and the distance between two antennas is R. So as we know that power radiated by an antenna at the receiving side is equals to PT by 4 pi r square, PT by 4 pi r square. So if you want to know the power density produced at a distance r by an transmitting antenna is PD is equals to GT into PT by 4 pi r square, GT by 4 pi r square, that is watts per meter square. So we know that AER, that is the effective aperture in the receiving antenna. Then we know the, if you want to get the received power, so PR is equals to the power density at the transmitting end into maximum effective aperture of your receiving antenna. So PT by 4 pi r square into GT into AER. So we know that effective aperture at the receiving antenna, that is AER, can be represented in directivity and gain. So AER is equals to lambda square by 4 pi into ZR. If you substitute AER value in the above equation, that is the radiated received power PR equation, then we can get PR is equals to PT GT ZR into lambda by 4 pi whole square. So this is the Friis transmission formula for the to get the received power in terms of effective aperture. So to summarize the whole concept today in this lecture, so first we discussed the antenna impedance. So antenna impedance is defined as the ratio of the voltage given to the current, and it is a complex quantity. So that's why your ZA is equals to RA plus JXA. So after that we discussed the bandwidth. So what is bandwidth? Bandwidth over, it is defined as the over the frequency range. The specified characteristics of your antenna should maintain the same characteristics. So that is the bandwidth definition. After that we discussed about antenna apertures and different types of antenna apertures like scattering aperture, loss aperture, physical aperture, effective aperture. All these aperture we discussed, and finally we derived the formula for Friis transmission, so which is the power radiated in the receiving end in terms of effective aperture. Thank you.